Imagine holding a heavy cinder block in both hands,
Right.
right?
Just completely holding it, totally oblivious to anything else.
Exactly. Totally oblivious to this massive metal wrench that is just plummeting from the scaffolding directly toward your skull.
Oh, man. It's a terrifying scenario.
It really is. I mean, in a fraction of a second, the literally only thing standing between you and a catastrophic brain injury is, what, a few millimeters of high-density plastic?
Yeah, but that plastic is everything.
Yeah.
And it perfectly encapsulates what we're looking at today. We are exploring the science, really, of creating a physical barrier between human vulnerability and the intense mechanical and chemical forces of a modern industrial environment.
Right, which brings us to our source material for this deep dive.
Yeah.
And it sets a very specific, honestly, kind of no-nonsense stage for this topic.
It really does.
Yeah, we are looking at a foundational presentation on personal protective equipment, or PPE, from the School of Apprenticeship at Bahrain Polytechnic. And I love this. It literally opens with a slide featuring bold red and black letters declaring, "Welcome to the Class 1."
Setting the tone immediately.
Yeah, so we are getting a highly structured, very educational breakdown of exactly how to safeguard the human anatomy.
And the documentation, I mean, it doesn't waste any time on generalities. It just immediately dives into the systematic engineering of these defenses.
Which is perfect.
Mm.
So our mission for today's deep dive is to map out this ultimate physical firewall, because we're not just going to, read down a checklist of gear. We absolutely want to understand the physics of these threats and how we engineer specific gear to defeat them.
Okay, let's unpack this. Well, the logical starting point here is the source's strict definition of what PPE actually is. It defines it as equipment worn by an employee that is designed to prevent injury or illness from a specific hazard in the workshop.
Right.
And the emphasis there, it heavily falls on the word specific.
Which completely shatters that misconception of the general safety suit. Like, you don't just put on thick coveralls and a pair of goggles and suddenly become invincible to everything in the room.
No, absolutely not. Treating PPE like a general force field is actually one of the leading causes of workplace injuries. The equipment is engineered to interrupt very, very specific mechanisms of injury. I mean, if you wear thermal protection to a chemical spill, you are essentially wearing no protection at all.
Right, you're toast.
Exactly. The hazard dictates the armor.
And the presentation actually includes these really vivid cartoons to illustrate that exact point. Like, there's one showing a man, his face is completely scrunched up in fury, and he's kicking a heavy wooden box in frustration.
Oh, yeah, that one's great.
And you see these dramatic impact stars radiating from his foot because he clearly just shattered his toes, since a standard canvas shoe offers literally zero resistance to blunt force trauma.
Yeah, visualizing the consequence of an unprotected impact is just a highly effective training tool.
Well,
and the source lists a whole barrage of these potential threats, like falling objects, moving machinery, slippery surfaces, sharp edges, hot parts.
extreme temperatures, corrosive chemicals, all of it.
Exactly.
And thinking about that list, configuring your PPE is basically like configuring your armor stats in a complex role-playing game. You really have to analyze the specific elemental damage of your environment. You wouldn't wear fire-resistant armor to wade through a poison swamp.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Hmm.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the underlying logic is identical. Recognizing and categorizing the specific environmental threat is the absolute first step, long before anyone even reaches for a piece of gear.
Right.
You have to identify the vector of the hazard. Like, is it thermal? Is it chemical? Is it kinetic? And then you build a physical firewall designed to interrupt that exact vector.
So let's look at how we actually build that firewall against kinetic threats. Because gravity doesn't just affect what falls on our heads, right? It affects what we drop out of our own hands and, well, what we walk on.
Yeah, gravity is constantly working against you in a workshop.
Exactly. So let's start from the ground up, looking at the extremities. Because our feet and hands are obviously the primary ways we interact with a hazardous environment.
Right. And the foundation of any worker's safety really is their footwear. The source makes a very sharp distinction